Cindy, you can do it while you're awake.
Recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation, under
under
God.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. So we call this meeting to order. And all the trustees are here this week. So we will start by a motion to accept the special meeting minutes of the meeting that was held on November 22nd, 2021 regarding the WIA application. So Rebecca makes a motion. Jim seconds. Any questions, comments, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the special meeting minutes say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Second up is motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from the evening of 11/22/2021. All in favor, may I have a motion to accept the regular minutes?
So moved.
Mark, second.
Second.
Cindy, any questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, I would like a motion. Now, why am I having feedback?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, so I would to open the public hearing on local law licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and on-site cannabis consumption establishments in the village of Speculator. Rebecca?
Jeanette, what question? We're getting like a lot. Are you getting a lot of feedback? Really bad.
Who's ever not talking, can they go on mute? Is that better?
Yes. For me it is.
Okay, Ed, are you on mute? Okay.
Yes, I was on mute. Sorry.
Okay. Everyone's on mute. So I'm not sure what to do. Audio, that turns on. Maybe I'll turn this down a little bit. Is that better? Okay.
Yeah, there's an echo, but it's okay.
Okay. So Rebecca does the motion to open the public hearing, and Jim was second. So you'll open the public hearing for the local law opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and on-site consumption establishments in the village of Speculator. Are there any comments, questions? Okay. So that's Shorty Hoffman saying that the village is doing right by opting out at this time. Thank you, Shorty. Anyone else? Okay, hearing no other public comments, may I have a motion to end the public hearing? Jim Rumsey, second.
Mark,
Rebecca? All right, so at this time, I would like a motion to adopt local law opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and on-site cannabis consumption establishments in the village of Speculator. Rebecca, second. Cindy, any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor of passing this local law, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion passes to adopt the law.
and we're still getting a feed, an echo.
Yeah. Do you have anything there? Did you turn off the speakers? Okay. We will open to public comment now. Hearing none, we'll close public comment. Ed, would you give your report, please?
Yes, I think I can do that now. All right, I'll start with the water department. Our annual nitrate sample was sent out. Yes.
Ed Sharpo?
Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
I can hear him.
Hello?
We can't hear you, Ed. Are you muted?
No, I'm not muted.
I can hear him, Jeanette.
No, I can't hear anybody. I did something? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, Ed?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So for the water department, we sent our annual nitrate sample out for the year.
It's muted.
You want me to keep going, or?
I can hear you, Ed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I don't hear any of the echo either, so. It's that Mac.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if, Jeanette, can you hear him?
I can only
Ed,
hear
Ed.
you right now.
Ed?
Yes, can you hear me?
Jeanette, can you hear
Go
him?
ahead.
Are we good?
I can't tell.
Yes, Ed, go ahead.
Okay, annual nitrate sample was sent out, non-detect. Results have been sent to DOH. Operations, we have the hydrant by the bathhouse was not off all the way and partially froze. Thanks, Mark, for calling. We caught it in time, shut it off, thawed it, and winterized it, and it is still in service. Chlorine phosphate have been checked throughout the system. As stated, the WEA application has been submitted, and we are awaiting results. It normally doesn't take too long. The transfer switch at the well building is not working at all. They had an electrician here. They were going to try to find the parts to fix it. Unfortunately, it seems due to the age that they haven't been able to find any of the parts, and through the numerous people that I've talked to, it suggested that it is replaced because of its age. I'm still trying to avoid that due to the cost. I could possibly order the parts myself and try to fix it, but I'm not sure I want to do that. It can be switched manually if there's a power outage like the other night, but we did not run it because it wasn't necessary. Why waste the fuel? Not needed. I'll be working on a 5-year plan in regards to projects and spending and hope to present that at the next board meeting. And Lenny has submitted his coursework for renewal. Once his results are in, he will send that paperwork in for recertification. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For the wastewater department, speedies and DMRs have been completed. Which actually that should say October, not September. Apologize for that. The recent power outage was somewhat of a concern through a little bit of operator error on my part, and when we did cleanings of the pump stations, a couple of the dialers were left off. So when the power went out, I didn't get a call. Fortunately, Jeanette had texted me, and I came up, and the generator had not started, so no sewage at the time was being pumped. However, it wasn't long enough to cause any issues. I started the generator manually. It seemed to have some problems running for the first hour. It's almost died like 8 times, so I thought it might be a fuel issue. I they'll have elders come and look at it this week. But after that first hour, it ran perfectly fine. Today we tested it, ran it for 20 minutes. It was fine. We may need to look into alternatives to this generator in the future. I know we've talked about a motor before. I'm not sure that's the best option because, let's say it breaks, well, what do I do in the meantime? And it's not like I can change a motor out in 30 minutes. So I'm probably going to get some quotes for generators, and we'll just see where it leads.
Yeah, I think that should be part of your 5-year plan because that was an issue during the Halloween storm.
Yes, and it's unfortunate because the generators really don't have hours on them, but the age has kind of taken its toll. I'll know more by the end of the week, hopefully, about what happened and why it occurred. It may be we need to run them more often, more than every 2 weeks. It may just be that the vaporizer, which basically turns the liquid propane into gas, something may have occurred on that end. But I really won't know more until it's looked at. We've helped DPW with a few things. We have a lot of properties in the village that, and this goes for water as well, that are vacant lots that have sold. I expect to see quite a bit of building happening over the next year, along with new hookups for water and sewer. And once again, we have the 5-year plan on here. And then the project itself, that's ongoing now, we're still waiting equipment. I have a request in for time frame, but I have not yet received a response. I think we're waiting on a blower. Basically there's no reason to send a pipe fitter up if everything's not here to do it. We have pumps here now, but why send the guy twice? So I think that's what's going on.
Do we have a timing on delivery for those parts?
No, I talked to Brendan today, and he said he was going to try to get a hold of Miller and see if they had a time frame on the blower.
Okay.
And we're still waiting on the blower. We're still waiting on the automated bar screen. Probably some piping and stuff. But yeah, until that stuff's here, they really can't do anything.
Okay.
So, any
Are
questions?
any questions for Ed?
And with the new policy out by the road,
It sounds like you're really far away.
She is. So Trustee Smith has asked, are the hookups, the anticipated new hookups out by the road?
Yeah, so wherever there's a water main, most of the time they're on the edge of the road. We have to dig down to the water main. We put on a saddle or a tapping sleeve. We hook a cork to it. We live tap it. We put our little piece off with our curb stop, and then from there on is the homeowner's responsibility. It seems to me at this time, for any properties that have sold, there already is sewer available due to the last sewer upgrade on Elm Lake Road. If that's the case, then there's nothing that we really have to do. We may just have to mark out where that hookup is. I think there's a small fee associated with a sewer hookup, which is like $100. Once you get into tapping and stuff like that, if it's non-existent, then there's more fees associated with it.
And we upgraded those fees within the last couple of years.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Good. Any other questions or comments? I think this is a good point to interject that I think it was 2.5 years ago, the village board said that we would have an increase in base rate over a 3-year period. Last year, we opted not to do the third and final increase, and instead just had a minimum usage fee. our minimum usage volume of 3,000 gallons. So we have one more installation of increase in base rate, and that would be $4 per quarter for hookup for water, and $3 increase in base rate for sewer. So I don't think we need a motion to put that in place, but this would occur with the first water meter reading of 2022. Oh, so then we would need a motion. Okay. All right, we did do a motion to hold off on it, so we will need a motion to have this last base rate increase in water, $4 per quarter, and sewer of $3 per quarter to take place with the first meter reading of 2022. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mark, second? Thank you, Cindy. Rebecca. Any questions or comments? Hearing no questions or comments, all in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, motion passes to increase the base rate in the first quarter. All right, Ed, do you have any other questions for the board?
No, not at this time.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
All right, now I'd like to turn to the clerk treasurer's report.
Okay,
A lot of things going on.
yeah, I have quite a few things, and I'm trying to get through this quickly. First, the audit, is just about complete. I finished up a few last minute items, with BST last week, and we should be hearing from them soon. The office was closed on December 9th due to Teresa being out of town for her daughter's graduation and doctor's appointments that I couldn't miss. I had talked to the mayor about this a few weeks ago, actually a month ago, and then I notified the department heads. Since Christmas and New Year's are both on a Saturday this year, the village departments will be closed Friday, December 24th, in observation of Christmas, and Friday, December 31st, in observation of New Year's Day. Election packets are ready for anyone that would like to run for the trustee positions for election. They can be picked up here at the village hall. The first day an independent nominating petition can be signed is December 28th. The petitions can then be dropped off between February 1st and February 8th. I'm not sure if everybody saw, but earlier I sent 2 letters one regarding a forgiveness for a leak, and one regarding a penalty. First, I'll discuss the leak first. Mr. Kendrick Holmes, he has a home on Route 8, sent a letter requesting a one-time forgiveness due to a leak found on his property. He received his November water and sewer bill and saw that there was, it was quite high. His water and sewer bill for November included 2 quarter payments, because he did not receive his bill in his August bill. Both of those consumptions were very high. I think, if I remember right, it was 38,000 gallons, and then 43,000 gallons, which is well over what he normally uses. CL Smith Excavation has repaired the leak. He is requesting a forgiveness for both quarters. And I looked in our records, both in the old records and in our new ones, and have not found that he has had a forgiveness before. So.
Okay, and what is the overall overage costs?
So I averaged his consumption based on the last couple of years, billing, and he averages about 10,000 gallons per quarter. This is an overall reduction of $311 in water charges and $488 in sewer charges.
And the leak has all been,
The leak has all
Corrected.
been corrected.
A question.
yes.
When you do those forgivenesses,
Yep.
do they still pay their average rate?
Well, that's what we propose.
So they still pay the base rate. So this is just a reduction of, the overconsumption that he was charged.
So,
If
So-
somebody does 33,000, he gets forgiveness for 23,000, and you can charge him for the 10?
Right. So he averages about 10,000. His accounts fluctuate because he's a second homeowner, per quarter, but, it's usually between, average 10,000. So it fluctuates from like 8 and 9 down to like 3 and 4,000 gallons. So,
but then it'll be above 8 or 9 as well.
sometimes it'll be 19, 15, depending on the quarter and how much he's here. So,
Right.
that's where the average comes in.
So I'm not opposed to giving forgiveness. I think that based on his notification of the water bill, he acted in a timely manner. My concern is, why are we not getting our water bills? There's something going on with the postcards through the post office that some folks have not been getting it.
Yes, so
So that's another matter.
Yeah, that's a whole nother matter that we're gonna have to look into, because we have been having a lot of problems with the mail in the last, honestly, in like the last year.
Right.
We've been having a whole lot of problems with the mail. It wasn't foolproof before anyways. It just seems like more and
It's
more
gotten
of them
worse.
are getting lost or
Right.
ripped or, and we don't even get, half of them that say that they haven't received them, we don't even get them returned to us. So who knows, they're lost out there and.
So I think that's a matter that we can address in January, how we should do that, whether we pay the extra postage and get envelopes.
Yeah.
So putting that aside, what I would suggest is, that we forgive Mr. Kendrick Holmes anything in excess of the average 10,000 gallons per quarter, plus the base rate, for the 2 quarters of August and November. That's what I would propose. So
Agreed.
I would look for a motion for that. So Mark, you make a motion, second. Cindy, any questions or comments? So anything in excess, so anything in excess, right, so anything in excess of what they would usually use.
Yeah, I normally use a average of what somebody consumes to figure out what would be extra.
Right. So, any questions, Jim? No? All right, so all in favor of forgiving anything in excess of the average 10,000 gallons, plus base rates for, Mr. Kendrick Holmes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
All right.
So, Crystal, I cannot share. It's not letting me,
Probably.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So I was just gonna show the letters.
Yeah, that's my fault. Forgot to click.
And the echo is gone.
Yeah, once Ed hung up, the echo went away.
It might have been his cell phone because he had to call in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second letter is from, Mr. Nelson. He called last week, asking about the water bill because he did not receive a water bill in November. Like I said, we've been having a lot of issues with the mail. He was not the first person. There was probably about at least 5 to 6 people just in Speculator at the post office that did not receive their bills this time. We gave all of them the option of writing a letter to forgive the penalty if that was the case.
And only Mr. Nelson took advantage.
Correct. He historically is always on time with paying his water and sewer bills, so. like,
So long as everyone has an equal opportunity to send a letter to the board asking for forgiveness for the penalty, I think that's what we need to make clear. And if everyone has been offered the same thing and only Mr. Nelson has taken advantage of that, I would propose that we make a motion to forgive the penalty of $19.58 to Mr. Nelson for this quarter. So may I have a motion?
So moved.
Jim, and second by Mark. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay. In that realm, as you go on, I have received a letter from the Department of Public Service. I have to move this. Low-income household water assistance programs is a new federally funded program that provides drinking water and wastewater emergency assistance to eligible households. This is primarily targeted for low-income and low-income households, and income guidelines will mirror those that are in place for HEAP, which is Home Energy Assistance Program. So the benefits are based on the actual amount of drinking water and or wastewater arrears up to a maximum of $2,500 per water or wastewater, or $5,000 if drinking water and wastewater services are combined per household. And benefits are paid directly to the water company or the municipality in our part. So, Crystal, I would ask if there are anyone with significant arrears with any known low-income houses, we should make them aware of this, or at least post it on our website.
yeah, I think I'll just post it on the website, because I'm not
Perfect.
sure if we would really be able to.
No, we wouldn't. Yeah, so if we can post that program on our website.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, continue. So I think we finished the water portion.
Yes. All right. Now here's for the large portion. During the last few weeks, the financial committee conducted a 6-month review of the budget with each department. The village is right on track with most of the budgeted revenues and expenses. Although there are several adjustments that will need to be made due to the increased expenditures or unexpected revenues that we have received. As stated in the resolution provided, these are the adjustments that we have found that need to be made.
I'm just going to throw this up real quick so
Yeah,
that
that would
people
be
can
great.
follow.
This is kind of like two in the same.
Yes, yes.
By written request of 3 of the village officials, designating their salaries to go back to the village budget as follows. Trustee Donaker gave the salary back to the water department, salary of $1,500 to the water department for capital improvements. Trustee Jay Rumsey gives his salary back of $1,500, and Mayor Barrett gives her salary of $2,600 to the fire tower project in support of economic development. We will need to increase CHIPS revenues and expenditures to match all paving expenditures and payment of the Ventrac sidewalk machine. We will need to change the revenue line for the sale of equipment with the Department of Public Works from a 2650 sale of excess to revenue a 2665 sale of equipment, which more accurately describes the auctioned items and the revenue that we received from that. Additionally, the attributed unexpected revenues for both the water department, which was $2,305, and for the sewer department, which was $2,817, will go to revenue code F and G 2665. It's all the same code, just different.
AFG.
AFG. Different departments, sale of equipment. Per Resolution 8 of 2021, approved in May of this year, the monies will be appropriated to the equipment reserves for each department. The village has received $3,850 in donations for the McCombs Fire Tower since the beginning of the 2021-22 fiscal year. We will need to increase the revenue a 2705 gifts and donations, and the expenditure code a 6989.4, which is other economic development, to reflect this amount.
A quick question?
Yes.
The $3,850 in donations, does that include the salaries of?
That does not include, that is just donations from the public.
Will those lines need to be increased for revenue
Yes, they will.
with our salary?
Yeah, your salaries will increase that expenditure, not the revenue code, the expenditure
Okay.
code, because you are. your
Taking it from
salary-
another part of the budget?
Yeah, your
Okay.
salary and Jim's salary are both an expenditure, we're just moving it
Got it.
down to the other.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will need to increase,
Number 7,
yeah,
increase budget code.
we will need to increase the budget code a 2690. I did consolidate a couple of these codes, sorry.
Okay.
As I was saying, other compensation for loss in the amount of $8,175 for the unexpected revenue from restitution. At the beginning of it was in June, I believe.
Yes, the end of June.
The New York State retirement payment for 2020, I think it's actually 2022, was $5,416 less than what we had budgeted for in the general fund. That was code A9010.8. The financial committee recommends moving this unexpended monies to a 9060.8 for medical insurance to offset the forecasted deficit. There is a forecasted deficit in the medical insurance expenditure code of approximately $6,100 due to a few different things. One being, we added one family coverage this year. Then we had one employee opt out of and receive the health insurance buyout. And we had one retiree switch from the regular employee insurance to the MVP Gold for those over 65. Additionally, the village board approved supplementing the separate vision coverage that was discontinued within the medical insurance starting 1/1/2022.
Crystal,
Yes.
I have a question about the employee that opted to receive the health insurance buyout. That should cost less than the actual insurance amount, correct?
It does. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well,
So regardless of all the changes, regardless for the changes, pluses and minus, we
Yeah.
come out with a deficit of
Okay.
6,100.
all right, I just wanted to make sure it was worded right.
Yeah, regardless of those changes.
Okay.
It is less than the amount, but we also hired, that was the other employee that we hired, so we have one more employee than usual.
Right.
Or than we did before.
Due to retirement.
No, that was we have the person
Yeah,
that
oh, yes.
fluctuates between the departments.
Yes.
So we do have one more employee.
Yes, so there is that additional employee.
Yes.
Right.
Which we loosely budgeted for anyways, because we weren't sure what was gonna happen with that.
Right. So between the additional family coverage, the added employee, and covering the vision, that results in a deficit, and then we have a forecasted deficit.
Yeah.
And we also have some added benefits for the insurance buyout and the person going to MVP Gold. So
Right.
the net deficit is 6,100. That's been forecasted. Okay, number
Moving
10?
on.
You're gonna, if you move that 5,400.
Yeah, it'll help, and then
bring
we-
it down.
Correct.
It'll bring it down, and then we have some unexpected revenues that will offset the cost as well.
Right. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring everything back into alignment.
Right,
So
right,
that-
back into balance, with this resolution.
Right.
Okay, next, given that the expenditures of the lifeguards and the beach for the 2021 season were $3,196 over budgeted, the finance committee recommends transferring that budgeted money to the Parks and Recreation Contractual Code, A 7140.4, to cover the expenses of replacing 2 of the trees located near the beach and mulch for Tunny Park Garden in the spring. We had an emergency purchase of a computer for the Department of Public Works supervisor. It was $2,122 total. We will need to increase the expenditure code A60.2 central garage equipment to account for that emergency purchase. The amount, the revenues from the unexpected restitution will help to offset those costs.
Right, so $2,122 of the $8,175 in restitution will be
offset.
applied to the emergency purchase of the computer.
Well, it just
Yeah.
evens it out.
Right.
The finance committee also proposes to increase the A 3620.4 building inspector and code enforcement officer contractual to address the additional expenses to the village speculator by $2,326 from the remainder of the revenue from a 2690 other compensation for loss. These expenses are associated with the hiring of a new building inspector and code enforcement officer, which we will be discussing later.
Yes.
The finance committee will continue to monitor the revenues and expenditures monthly and come back to the board with any additional adjustments when needed. A couple of the adjustments that we will be looking for, or looking at, or may need to be adjusted later on in the coming months. That we know of right now are the cameras. We'll be getting the security cameras. We approved that but haven't paid for it yet. We don't have an install date, so that's why we haven't paid for that one yet. And then we're getting revenue from Verizon for
$500.
$4,500 for the small cell tower.
So that's $2,000 in installation fees that they pay us, and then $2,400.
Like 400.
So, yeah, so it's, and then it's $2,400 in rent, annually,
Right, so we'll get that $2,400 every year from
correct,
here on,
going forward.
going forward.
And then we would be looking, in January to discuss, getting a replacement truck for DPW that would be totally covered by CHIPS,
Yes, yep.
because we still have a significant portion, but that'll be discussed in the first week of January. So those things are coming.
Yeah,
Coming
coming
down the
up,
pipe.
but we're just not ready to adjust for them yet. The second part of the resolution is just, all those little nitty gritty, like decrease here, increase here,
Right,
for what I just, went through.
right.
If there are no questions.
Well, first I'd like to have a motion to pass this resolution for budget adjustments. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
Cindy, second. Rebecca, and any questions or comments, any discussion, anything you don't understand, anything you want to understand.
It's very, it does get kind of complicated.
and tedious, and
Yes.
tedious. But thank you, Crystal, for keeping good track of it and making sure that we have things in their proper place. I would like to say, as part of the financial committee, Trustee Rumsey, myself, and Crystal, we seem to be in a very good position. So we will not be operating at a deficit. All our funding is coming through. We've had some extra revenues that have been unexpected that will account for things. And even when looking at some of the legal fees that are coming based on a code violation and another matter, I think we're still going to be in very good shape with what's been budgeted. And even if there's some overrun, there's enough wiggle room.
Yeah.
And then with our next or last finance review of the final quarter, I think it's going to be good to see how much we're saving in electric fees with the addition of the LED lights in the village hall, the wastewater treatment plant, the pavilion, the street lights, and then still trying to move forward with the garage and the firehouse.
Right.
So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with that.
Yes.
But we'll wait. Okay, without further ado, all in favor of passing this resolution of budget amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right.
And then just the financial report and the abstract.
Okay, so that's a save. All right. So I would like a motion to approve the abstract number, what number is this? 13. Rebecca, second. Jim, all in favor of approving abstract 13, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. I would like to point out that this is the 13th abstract on December 13th. How often does that happen? And then I would like a motion to approve financial report number 6 of 2021. May I have a motion? Mark, second.
I'll second.
Cindy, any questions or comments? I do have one comment, and I have sent a note last month, so I'll ask it again. Really the only outstanding uncleared debit charge is for our former legal fees. So if we can follow up on that, that one is from the end of September. So that's the one that's the biggest outstanding that we really need to resolve. All right, so all in favor of passing the financial report number 6, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay. Thank you, Crystal. You've been a very, very busy woman. So now let's go to COVID update. In Hamilton County, the 7-day rolling average this week is 11%. As of December 11th, there were 6 new cases of COVID reported among the 51 people tested, and 1 new case reported today of the 12 people tested. I would like to note that there are data discrepancies on the New York site website, depending on where you look in the data, because I was shocked and dismayed to see that in the COVID-19 tracker, it incorrectly notes that Hamilton County has a 7-day rolling average of 99.9%. So we are all the walking COVID if that were the case, but it's not the case. So, and to put this 11% in perspective, during the worst spike since the pandemic started, the highest rolling average was 13% this past January 29th. The most recent spike was of 11% on September 9th, when the rolling average was also 11%. So for us in the county, I think we get a little skewed with the number of people being tested and the number of people who are positive of that amount. But that's my own personal thought. And in New York State overall, the 7-day average right now is less than 5%, which is awfully good. So even with all those things in place, our New York State governor issued a mask mandate that goes into effect today through January 15th, citing that all indoor places not otherwise covered by this determination. So the rationale that they use is a careful review and consideration of the increasing number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations statewide. And they were attributing that to the North Country, although if you look at the actual data, the numbers were very low. And in alignment with CDC recommendations for communities with substantial and high transmission, all persons over the age of 2 and able to medically tolerate a face covering or mask, regardless of vaccination status, shall wear an appropriate face mask or covering while in any indoor public place. The requirement shall not apply to any indoor public areas that require proof of vaccination as a condition of entry. I will note that within the village, we are not the vaccination police, so there are no vaccination statuses that will be checked. And for purposes of this determination, the governor defines indoor public space as anything that is not a private residence, which I think is overly broad according to zoning laws. And this requirement is in effect until January 15th, when it will be reevaluated. I will point out that Montgomery County today issued a statement that they would not be complying with this law, and that was made by their supervisor, county supervisor, their Department of Health, as well as their sheriff. There are no comments as to whether Hamilton County will be doing this or not. So signs are posted on our public buildings. FEMA update, we're still waiting for the pump station to come back. Still waiting on clarification for the FEMA COVID, which has changed many times, making it extremely difficult to know how to file that. The McComas Fire Tower, we do have APA approval for the variance, so we are looking to try and get that started. Crystal, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have over $20,000 in donations and goods so far. We've got just about 4,000, 6,000, about six.
Between public donations, your salaries,
And donation of goods.
and donation of it.
Right, so we're moving in a good position. The foundation requires poured forms, and in consultation with the engineer, they suggest that we wait until the spring to do that. And the engineer and the fellow Mike Velleggi, who was installing the tower, both said that they would oversee the building of the foundation upon which the tower will stand. So that's great. I think that's all for old business. New business is a village CEO position. So I did receive a letter this week from Betsy Bain regarding the code enforcement officer, and to be honest, I'm a little confused. I did put in a follow-up telephone call and haven't received a call back. So the town had decided that they would hire a fellow for CEO, and as we've done in the past, they hire for their position, which is a combination of zoning and code enforcement, and then the village has the option of accepting who they hire, and we hire separately only for code enforcement since we have a zoning officer. So in scheduling our time to speak with that candidate who was selected, we found out that he has resigned from the position because it's more than what was anticipated. So the town has posted a position. In the interim, however, they had an emergency meeting this past Thursday in which the town board passed a resolution that the code enforcement officer will no longer be working for the village and it will be the town only. I really don't understand the purpose of that resolution. I don't understand how that impacts us directly because they have worked for us in the past. There was a conversation between the town supervisor and myself about the possibility of putting the code enforcement officer as one position under the town. It gets a little complicated because they're also the code enforcement of the town. We have our own code enforcement officer. At the time, we elected not to go forward. We had kind of talked about it, but didn't come to a resolution whether we would combine that position or not. Evidently, Supervisor Bain didn't take that very well. I forwarded that letter. So we come to the point where our zoning enforcement officer has expressed a willingness to do both code enforcement and zoning for the compensation that we have at present. That's $5,100 for code enforcement. That does require training. It does require software. It will require a computer. So I have asked.
We already paid the software.
Correct. So we have already paid for the software, so that's included in our budget. Half of the training we have already budgeted. So any additional expenses would be the cost of a computer and the cost of 50% of training, which comes to approximately.
From my understanding, I took the price of Roger's computer and.
Which was about $2,200.
Which was.
With everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, $2,122.
Oh, $2,100.
There, additionally, I talked with Bob this morning about what other, memberships and trainings and whatnot, that we would normally split with the town. There's NFPA, which is $175. He said something about Adirondack or North Country Building, code, like it's like an association. I haven't been able to find a past bill that we paid that, so I'm gonna guess that's probably about the same as NFPA, around $175. And then ICC, which is the International Code Council, they're the ones that do all the codes, New York State codes. That membership we have not paid for yet. That was a new thing. ICC was a new thing. I believe the town paid for it last year and we were supposed to pay for it, or the town paid for it this year and we were supposed to pay for it next year.
Okay.
Something around there.
Is that in the same ballpark?
In the same ballpark.
Okay.
And then additionally with the yearly training with the state, that's normally, this last year it was all online, but before it would be like the NICOM, the training school, so that altogether it'd be an additional cost around a cost of about $3,000 annually for right
So
now,
all the trainings.
all the trainings, all the software, all like everything together, all the mileage that we consider, everything.
And does that include a new computer? No.
No.
Okay.
With the new computer, it'd be about $5.
Okay. So with the new computer, it would cost us about $5. We are currently paying
Hold on.
pretty close to that.
One down.
So I think the difference is about $500 to $600. A little bit more.
And did we budget 50% because we thought we would share it with the town?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're looking for what that 50% is.
Right. We budgeted 1,800 this year for contractual costs because that was just the software and mileage, and one of the training was online. We didn't have to worry about that.
Right. So so we fall short of the overall cost of our own CEO person of about $1,200 plus the $2,100 for a computer. So all told, that's $3,300. In our present budget resolution, we have applied
$2,300? Yeah.
$2,300. So right now we're looking at a deficit of $1,000 to have our own
And I'm
CEO
not-
on board.
Right, I'm not sure when those trainings take place.
So some may be this year, some may be next year. Right.
Some of those memberships might not run up until next budget season. This is just like an overall,
Right.
what we can expect.
Right, so, Rick Rumsey has expressed an interest and had applied to the town as well as, asking here. I think Rick has done a great job with the zoning function so far. He has worked very much hand in hand with Bob. I did ask because the Rumseys do go take vacations from time to time that last a couple of weeks, several weeks. And he has verbal agreement with other code enforcement officers of surrounding areas that they would cover for one another in the event that someone was away and something had to be addressed. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel pretty comfortable with that. Are there any, so I would look for a motion to hire Rick Rumsey as the code enforcement officer of the Village of Speculator, and would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion, and both Rebecca and I did an interview, and
Yes.
very bright gentleman, and I think he'll do a great job.
Okay. Rebecca, did you have any, so you're seconding, but do you have any any additional comments?
I thought it was a strong candidate for the job.
Okay. And I know that trustee Jim Rumsey, who is related to Rick Rumsey, and trustee Cindy Rumsey, who's related to Rick Rumsey, need to abstain.
Yeah.
Right, and based on the resolution the town made,
Yes.
are we in a position now, this is our only option?
No, it is not. It is not our only option. So I did go back and check. It was kind of convoluted. So according to Betsy, it says in our meeting this week, we discussed the position and decided it would be much easier if the town and the village each had their own code enforcement officer. That being said, this does not stop the village from hiring the same officer on their own. So, Neil, yes,
Is that also inverse? Make it so.
they can hire ours, yeah,
They can hire.
correct. So it will remain independent. So I think based on the position of the Lake Pleasant Board, to keep the peace, I think we go forward on our own. Mark?
And no, Rick did interview for the town,
Right.
and it was one other gentleman, so they're down to two. But I think they're going to post again.
They have posted, right. They have posted it again, so they opted not to take those candidates, or they're looking for a wider pool in which those candidates will be some of them. My concern is that it's the middle of December. We have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of buildings in progress, and it is to our detriment if we do not have a code enforcement officer in place, hitting the ground and running. And I think Rick has a very good rapport with Bob, that he can come up to speed quite quickly on the software.
Goes. And the
It is
software.
an appointed position.
That'll give Rick the opportunity to go around with Bob and make sure he.
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah, and Bob has said that he would be available, make himself available after his retirement. So the code enforcement officer is an appointed position, so that's my appointment, but I would like confirmation from the board that you are in agreement with my appointment of Rick Rumsey as the code enforcement officer for the Village of Speculator.
Agreed.
Okay, so all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So motion carries. So welcome to Rick. I would at this time also like to sincerely thank Bob Benkovich for his years of service to the village as code enforcement officer. He's done a great job. It is not an easy position by any stretch of the imagination, but in the long run, it keeps our building and our village in good working order. So thank you to Bob for that. Okay, moving along, I misquoted the title of the government agency. It is the Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board that is seeking a donation from the village. The last time we donated to this organization, we gave $150 in October 2019 and gave nothing during COVID, since everything was pretty much shut down. So this group represents towns and villages within the Adirondack Park that interact with the APA. So they're the voice of the local government with the APA. Their priority topics include things like snowmobiling and the mileage, which is believed that the APA underestimates, and therefore it cuts the amount of funding to our region. So this is a group that advocates for the snowmobiling mileage and that it's accurately reflected. Another project that they have ongoing is that in the town of Jay, they would like to open an Adirondack club and resort to improve tourism, and they are dealing with opposition from environmental groups in that regard. They are also helping extend the life of a mine in Warren County that actually employs people from 3 different counties within the Adirondacks, including Hamilton County. So those are jobs that come to our county. Obviously, there are people who are opposed to any of that sort of activity. So this is the group that helps advocate. And something that's near and dear to my heart is that this group is also prioritizing unit management plans for recreational use in people who have purchased or lease large blocks of our forest preserves. So, for example, the unit management plan for Hamilton County has been unfinished for nearly a decade, if not a little bit more. And so it's this group that helps us go forward with that. So I think the last time I spoke with the APA or the DEC, who helps write those plans in conjunction with the APA, it was still another year and a half out. I mean, that's how slowly it works. So it's really crippling a lot of what we would like to do in the realm of tourism and bringing people into the Adirondacks to enjoy them. So they are looking for a donation of $300. And as I said, in the past, we gave them $150. And I would like to propose or make a motion that we give them again $150 on behalf of the village as village advocates with the APA. So may I, okay, Mark, any second? Jim, Rumsey, second. Any questions, comments, changes?
Do they also apply to the town?
Yeah, so the town would have their own agreement with the Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board. I don't know whether they donate or not. I know they have in the past.
They have in the past.
Yep. Right. So all in favor of giving a donation of $150 to the Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right. Are there any topics for the board roundtable? Anything going on? Anything of interest? I've gotten a lot of good feedback over our last few snowstorms that the sidewalks have really been cleaned up well. So our little Venn track is working well. In speaking with Roger, he was going to attach the sander. So I think for our next snowfall scheduled for Saturday, we might be able to see that come to fruition. Anything else? Any good feedback, bad feedback, things coming up? Okay, hearing none.
Sander with the truck or with the Venn track?
With the Venn track. Yeah, we're coming up. I know. I even got pictures sent of clean sidewalks and smiley faces and happy people. So yeah.
Great.
So it's worth it. So hopefully this year will be a big turnaround for pedestrians in the village for that. So at this time, I would like a motion to end the public session of this meeting and go into executive session. Jim Rumsey makes a motion, Rebecca seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, we enter executive session at 8:05.